Okay, we're moving on to pages 44 and 45. This section is about population and resources. And again, what we're doing here is I'm going to be reading pages 44 and 45 and trying to find answers to our guiding question, which is what factors influence population. As we found in previous videos, we had a bigger list over here. But I erased it because there are a lot of factors involving population. And as we're moving on through this chapter, I want to be able to give myself more room. So, population and resources. Malthus predicted that population would increase faster than resources. Contemporary geographers are divided on the validity of Malthus's thesis. Overpopulation is a condition in which the number of people in an area exceeds the capacity of the environment to support life at a decent standard of living. English economist Thomas Malthus was one of the first to argue that the world's rate of population increase was far outrunning the development of food supplies. In an essay on the principle of population, published in 1798, Malthus claimed that the population was growing much more rapidly than Earth's food supply because population increased geometrically, whereas food supplies increased arithmetically. According to Malthus, people and food grow like this. Today, one person, 1 unit of food. 25 years ago, 2 persons, 2 units of food. 50 years from now, 4 persons, 3 units of food. 75 years from now, 8 persons, 4 units of food. 100 years from now, 16 persons, 5 units of food. And all that is there, that's just an explanation of the graph given to you on page 44. Moving right along, contemporary geographers and other analysts are taking another look at Malthus's views because of Earth's unprecedented rate of natural increase during the 20th century. Malthus's theory remains influential today among some geographers, whereas others severely criticize it. So, I will read the graph example from 2.2, which explains Malthus's theory. Here's what it has to say. Malthus expected population to grow more rapidly than food supply. The graph shows that if in 2000 the population of a place were 1 unit, such as 1 billion people, and the amount of resources were 1 unit, such as 1 billion tons of grain, then according to Malthus's theory, in 2100, the place would have around 15 billion people and 5 tons of grain. So, your book has an explanation at the bottom of 44 and 45. And it's got a debate question, which is great for us. Can Earth's resources support our growing population? Which is very similar to an article that you have read and have responded to already on the classroom. And the question goes into more detail here. On the bottom of page 45 it says, Neo-Malthusians argue that recent changes in population and resources make Malthus's thesis even more frightening than what it was first written more than 200 years ago. Criticism has been leveled at both the population growth and resource depletion sides of Malthus's equation. So one side says Malthus was right. The side that says that he was right states, in Malthus's time, only a few relatively wealthy countries had entered stage 2 of the demographic transition. Now, relatively poor countries are in stage 2. As a result, the gap between population growth and resources is wider in some countries than even Malthus anticipated. Moving on, world population growth is outstripping a wide variety of resources in addition to food production, including water and energy. Unless climate change is halted, global warming will reduce future crop yields and survival of animals. So we have this side that is saying Thomas Malthus was absolutely spot on, and if the population increases so much and the resources don't go along with it, it's obviously going to present some problems. And the people that think that he's right have a few examples. Number one, world population growth is outstripping a wide variety of resources in addition to food production, including water and energy. So the access to water, clean water, and energy influence population with the neo-Malthusians. It also mentions something like global warming, which the book states for the people that think Thomas Malthus was right, unless climate change is halted, global warming will reduce future crop yields and survival of animals. So again, we've already got that written down. We've got climate, we've got technology. So if we're trying to find new factors in population, one way that you can do what you can do in your notes is take a look at this section, look at Malthus's theory, and just write this down real quick. Now, taking a look at the other side, Malthus was wrong. So these are the people that say that he's off with his calculation, and they have this as their evidence. The world's supply of resources is actually expanding rather than fixed, as neo-Malthusians believe, and that they have that explained in figure 256. And they have a picture there of food in Gurgaon, India. So India is one of those places in the world that has a very much an expanding population. Moving on. Excuse me, my nose itches. Population growth stimulates economic growth. More consumers generate more demand for goods, which results in more jobs. More people means more brains to invent good ideas for improving life. Poverty and hunger result from an unjust society and economic inequality, not population growth. Okay. So the people that are saying Malthus was wrong, specifically with poverty and hunger, which might be an impact from Malthus's theory, they're saying it's not coming from population growth. Poverty and hunger, according to this graph here, comes from unjust societies and economic inequalities. The world possesses sufficient resources to eliminate hunger and poverty if only these resources are shared equally. So these two sides that are debating Thomas Malthus's theory, both sides make points. Just to quickly sum it up for myself, just so I can move on with the reading of the rest of this section, the people that are saying Thomas Malthus was right with world population increasing, it's actually stripping a lot of resources. And then you add in the fact that climate change and global warming will have an impact on crop yields, and the survival of animals will definitely have an increase on population. For the side that thought Malthus was wrong, again, good points here. The more people that the more people that are produced, those people will produce ideas to make sure that we are using our resources better. So there isn't poverty, there isn't hunger. And the people that say Malthus was wrong there, they're saying poverty and hunger do not come from population growth, but because of an unjust society. So you think about the rules that government makes, the decisions that individuals make in terms of their economics. That is the reason why there might be poverty and hunger. Unjust society and economic inequality maybe are more important than global warming for the people that think Malthus was wrong. Again, very good argument here for both sides. And again, that question there is, can Earth's resources support our growing population? Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to do some extra reading on Thomas Malthus, just so you can really understand what his theory was saying. So moving right along with the book reading, at the top of page 45, we've got, Population and Resources, the Current Picture. Evidence from the past half-century lends support to both neo-Malthusians and their critics. Malthus was fairly close to the mark on resources, but much too pessimistic on population growth. Overall food production has increased during the past half-century somewhat more rapidly than Malthus predicted. In India, for example, rice production has followed Malthus's expectations fairly closely, but wheat production has increased twice as fast as Malthus expected. Growing techniques, higher yielding seeds, and cultivation of more land have contributed to the increase in food supply. Neo-Malthusians point out that production of both wheat and rice has slowed in India since 2000, as shown in figure 2.54. Without new breakthroughs in food production, India might not be able to keep food supply ahead of population growth. Many people in the world cannot afford to buy food or do not have access to sources of food. But neo-Malthusian critics say these are problems of distribution of wealth rather than insufficient global production of food. On the population side of the equation, recent evidence indicates that Malthus has been less accurate. His model expected population to quadruple during a half century, but even in India, a country known for relatively rapid growth, population has increased more slowly than that, and more slowly than the country's food supply. So again, the amount of people in a given area are definitely impacted by that area's ability to make and produce food, energy for the proper use of the technology in the area. So for us in our list, this section on population and resources has already given us more evidence to stuff that we've written down. So with the increase in technology, a country like India can produce more with the given area of land, even when that population is, again, known for growth. So it's able to keep up a little bit. But it still, again, is another section repeating the importance of proper land use, good energy control, and definitely an Earth's resources. And anything going in and playing a factor in the Earth's resources will definitely have an impact on population growth. Okay, that was pages 44 and 45 on population and resources.